Now, I believe that I am one of the few crazy ones who is actually going to take this thing out in PvP. This is the Barghest, the so-called spacepan or the flying spatula. Both nicknames are quite fitting to this monster. Now, I had plans to fly it for a very long time, and finally I got myself one of these ships. I have a very funny history with the spacepan. I already destroyed two of them in my PvP career, and basically that is one of the factors that did prevent me from getting one a lot earlier. And I think I will show you the kills, and overall this is definitely one of the most unique looking ships. I am really a fan of the Mordu ships. They are indeed one of the most unique looking ships in the game, and this thing does look quite menacing. Of course, this ship is still not quite there where I wished it to be. I will get a Death Wish Core for this thing, and I will also change the build in the future. Now let me quickly show you the space pans that I was talking about. So we have destroyed two in total, and I got the kill on both of them. Now, back when the first one got destroyed, I had about 20 billion in my wallet, and well, after blowing up a space pan, I kind of got discouraged from flying one. And after I destroyed the second one, I have decided to wait, and basically I did wait for quite a while. The space pan has been buffed since then, and overall the performance of the ship has been improved. Now, the main thing that has been improved on the spacepan is the damage application. Before the patch, before the buff, the spacepan had a worse damage application than the Typhoon. However, now the spacepan is actually quite comparable to the Typhoon in terms of the damage that it can apply. The main difference would be in the paper DPS. The spacepan has one of the nastiest alpha hits in the whole game, and overall the spacepan has one of the best performing missiles in the game. The other stats are okay. The spacepan has a very bad capacitor. That is the usual thing for Mordu ships. Now, I mostly like to run rapid missiles, and honestly the rapid missiles have been working really well so far. Now, the DPS is not that impressive at the moment. However, I am in the process of increasing the DPS, and of course I will be changing the build in the future. This is currently the rapid missile build that I run on this thing. Good against cruisers and also good against big ships as well. The rigs are currently quite cheap. However, I do plan to run integrations on the spacepan. Basically, I want to combine damage application, I want to combine range and DPS. Overall, I plan to replicate the build that I did show you a long time ago. Now, as for the nanocore, well, this one looks very nice. The Trailblazer looks really good, I have to admit. I did plan to get a Death Wish core on the spacepan. Now, not for the stabs, oh no. I plan to get the Death Wish core for the points. Now, Mordu ships have that bonus on Scramblers and Disruptors, basically longer range and stronger Scramblers. So my idea was to go and increase that even more. Now, basically, even without the Death Wish core, you can hold most targets easily. However, in order to combat a lot of stabs, I will probably max out a Death Wish core. Currently I have 5 strength per warp scrambler. With the Death Wish it will be 11. So there is no running away if a spacepan is tackling you. And that is overall the main idea with this thing. Of course, the tank is non-existent, and I have to admit, it does feel very weird to fly this thing because it's so paper and it's so expensive. One of the riskiest ships to fly. Now the other build that I run is the torpedo build. However, the torpedo build is preferably for big ships, for battleships only, because they don't really apply that much damage to the smaller ships. However, they do wreck big targets, and they can slap up to 25 to 35,000 alpha hits, which is enormous for this thing. And I also plan to run the cruise missiles. However, the cruise missiles are more for sniping, and our current way of fighting is close to mid-range, so I don't really have a lot of purpose for the cruise missiles, but the performance on the cruise missiles is also really good. They have amazing range, and I can easily replicate the build that has above 770 kilometer range. Okay, well, I believe it will be time to undock this ship and let's blow some ships up. Now the first target for today will be a Macariel, because for some reason a Macariel is always the first ship that we destroy when I start recording. I already have a criminal timer, my capacitor is already low, but I have to quickly go towards the Macariel because they are finishing up with the mission. Now, like I said before, I have a lot of points. Currently I have about 12 points. So even if the Macariel has 3 warp core optimizers, they are not going to go anywhere. And this is basically the layout that I like on the space span. With the rapid missiles I can easily kill frigates, tackle frigates, interceptors, a excellent multi-purpose platform. Now I will orbit the Macariel at 16 kilometers. I will take full advantage of the extra scrambler range, and of course on the disruptor range as well as scrambler strength. The Macariel looks to be a shield tank. Let me use the damage control there just in case. Let me just put the damage control instead of one web, just in case if I need that. After all, this thing is paper, and the one good thing about the space pen is that it has a lot of shield, so you have a lot of buffer tank if you need that. Now the Macariel is trying to warp away, but that's not going to work. You are not going to warp away as long as the space pen has scramblers on you. The Macariel is now into a hole. Okay, damage control is up and running. Seems like the Macariel has the barraging plan, but the damage control does solve that issue, and the Macariel has been destroyed. The first kill for today, well, technically the first kill, although I think it's not the first kill. In any case, let me loot the wreck.
We're under attack.
Okay, some expensive modules. Eagle tracking computer, that one is expensive. Faction drones as well, and I believe I saw one offensive drone, and they are extremely expensive. So I believe this was a good catch.
Warp drive active.
I am at 55% shield, but that's not a big problem. Already warping out. The space pen does kinda feel slow, however it's really not that bad. It's comparable to the other battleships in terms of warp speed. However, I feel like I will have to change the engineering rigs, because I could definitely use faster locking, and I could definitely use Probably more capacitor. Not really sure. Okay, let's take a look at the kill. Well, okay, 8.5 billion. A expensive one. And, as always, it became a tradition that all of my new ships have to destroy a very expensive ship as their first kill. And the space pen is no different. That was a very nice catch and a very expensive Macario. Well, let's wait out the criminal timer and let's go to the next target. The new event
Warp
has
drive
been
active.
amazing. So many nice targets, and the space pen has been very useful. Although I have to admit, flying this thing is very stressful. The space pen is just like the Ortus, just a lot more difficult to fly. The Ortus is unforgiving, the space pen is even more unforgiving. One mistake and this ship dies. And they're expensive, so you have to be very careful with them. The second target is a Gila. Now the space pen is one of those ships that can engage smaller targets. The rapid missiles are designed to engage smaller ships. They can also be used against big ships, but for big ships the torpedoes and cruise missiles can be the way to go. Now I have the missile implant, not really high level, but it's there and it seems to be doing a very good job so far. I really like the missile implant, it does get the job done. Now this Gila seems to have a good tank. Of course the Gila is also moving, so that also does reduce the incoming damage. I will orbit at 35 kilometers. I think I will enter precision mode to improve the damage application. The damage application improvement is massive
We're
when you
under
enter the
attack.
precision mode, and it is very useful against smaller targets. The damage that's being applied is significantly improved. The Gila is now into armor. Looks like the Gila has the Voyage nanocore, but my disruptor has a very long range, so that's not a big problem. That's a massive spike in local. Again, flying the space pen is extremely risky and definitely very uncomfortable to fly a 20 billion ISK ship that has basically no tank. The build that you see here is following the same building,
Warp drive
I guess the same way as I built the Machariel and the Megatron Striker, basically full DPS and a damage control as a panic button to absorb the damage for about 13 seconds. Well, that was a nice target. The space pen claims another victim. Local is 10. Okay, that's okay. Now the warp speed compared to the Macario does appear and does feel to be slow, and the whole physical appearance of the ship makes it feel like it's slow, while in fact it's about the same speed as the other battleships. Okay. Looks like we have another target here. But first let me take a look at the kill. 1.5 billion, a small shield booster, and a large rapid missile launcher. Well, that's definitely a build that I would never recommend. Not really sure why they have built their ship like that. It's definitely intentional because of the large missile. Okay, let's go
Warp drive
towards the
active.
next target. We have a Cynabal. Oh, I forgot, you can call the spacepan the fly swatter as well, because it kind of looks like one, and it does feel like a fly swatter when you slap frigates with it, which is honestly kinda hilarious. Next time I think I will show you a build that focuses on missile damage application with the missile guidance computers as well as changed rigs. There is the Cynabal, and of course the Cynabal does go after the spacepan, because you don't have a lot of opportunities to go after a spacepan, so that Cynabal decided to go after the spacepan. But the Cynabal got yeeted because the spacepan and the Stratios have very good DPS.
We're under attack.
And let's warp out.
We're under attack.
Warp drive active.
Okay, I have 10 minutes. Actually, no, I don't have timer because the Cynabal did open fire first. So, yeah, no criminal timer for me. But let's align to the station and let's take a look at the Cynabal kill real quick. $1.3 billion, not bad. At least the Cynabal had a decent build. All of the previous Cynabals that we have destroyed had
Warp drive active.
no prop builds, which were a little bit weird because the Cynabal is very fast and you should definitely fly the Cynabal with a afterburner or micro updrive. And I can safely go to the station and dock until the next target arrives. I have to admit, the 10 minutes that you wait for the criminal timer in this thing feel like 10 hours. That's the amount of anxiety and stress that it gives, because I know for a fact that if someone wants a spacepan dead, they will do anything that they can to bring a whole
Docking
fleet,
request
even
accepted.
capital ships, just to kill a spacepan. I know I would do that, and we kind of already did that twice. Each time we smell something very expensive, everyone wakes up, and everyone's a piece of a Mordu or Sister of E battleship. They are one of the most expensive and one of the most rare ships in the game. And I fly one into PvP because I don't know. I'm one of those crazy pilots, I guess, that just like to live dangerously. I don't know. No, don't do this. I mixed up my builds unfortunately and didn't really have a lot of time to change the builds. This is not a build that I would use against cruisers. As you can see, the damage will be very bad because the torpedoes are not really designed to shoot a small ship, but
Enemy ships detected.
I did still do some damage, and the Gila has been
We're
destroyed.
under attack.
Now we can warp out and wait out the criminal timer. In most cases, the rapid missiles are the way to go for the spacepan. In some rare occasions,
Warp
the
drive
cruise
active.
missiles are the way to go, especially if you have a tackle ship. I think when my alt gets unbanned, I might use my alt to tackle the battleship, and then I can drop the spacepan with a clocking device and just orbit at 100 plus kilometers. It is a very evil tactic that I can use. And of course, the spacepan is highly vulnerable if it has torpedoes, highly vulnerable to tackle frigates. With the rapid missiles and with webs, you will apply a lot of damage to a small target, even if they orbit at a long distance. Just enter precision mode or the long range mode, and that will definitely slap really hard. That's why the space span can be quite difficult to tackle, of course, if they have the right build.
Warp.
Unfortunately, the two space spans that I had the chance to fight with did not have a good build. Especially the more expensive space
Warp
span, that
drive
one had a
active.
terrible build, but again, I believe we are not surprised based on you know what. Okay, let's go to the next target. We have a Typhoon. I also like how the mission is called Hunter's Trap. It gives me even more anxiety because I am a hunter, and you know what can happen if it's a trap. Okay, there is the Typhoon. Excellent. Warping right at the optimal range. Not really sure why drones pop up on my PvP overview. One of the latest
Enemy
updates
ships
messed that up
detected.
real good. And it was a big hit. 11,000 alpha damage, but it's only a Typhoon and they usually don't have a lot of hit points, so the Typhoon got destroyed very quickly. We
We're
definitely
under
had
attack.
a lot of points on the Typhoon.
Warp drive
I also
active.
forgot to mention, the space span is one of the largest ships, one of the largest battleships in the game. It's 1,747 meters long, longer than the Apocalypse, which is the second longest ship in the game. And it does get in the way on the screen in some cases. No, I don't like this belt. Let me just warp to the other belt. Probably because I can align to the station
Warp
in a
drive
better way.
active.
And this is the Typhoon. 570 million kill. Overall, not bad. Not going to complain about a kill. I did fire only once, but that's fine. Still did plenty of damage. Prototype rigs on the Typhoon. I just had to double check that real quick. Well, this doesn't look like a good belt as well. Let me try the other one.
Warp drive active.
With the highly integrated build, I will probably have much better damage application. After all, I already did fly this ship once, however that wasn't my ship. No, little fun story. The first time I recorded the Barghest, I think like 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, that was a ship that I borrowed from my friend, and that Bargest did get destroyed very soon after I returned the ship to the owner. Basically, the Bargest got caught in a gate camp, and I believe it was about 27 billion ISK. That was the kill value of that Bargest. So that's a funny story on what happened to the first ever space pen that I did fly. And I kind of feel bad because they forgot to set autopilot once I returned the ship, and well, that's what
Warp
happened.
drive active.
Okay, going towards the next target. Also, one of the capital ships that I also borrowed from one of my friends got also destroyed. So yeah, ships that were in my hands and that were returned to their original owner unfortunately met their end fairly quickly. Not really sure why, but yeah, it's something that had happened. Next target, we have a prophecy. Now the Barghest, like I mentioned before, is one of the only battleships alongside the Typhoon and Typhoon 2 that can go and easily engage smaller ships. Well, this prophecy has a command burst module. Okay, things are getting interesting here. Long range mode is active. Soon I will switch to precision mode. And now back to normal mode.
Attack.
And the prophecy has been destroyed. It was a tanky one, that's for sure. Let's now warp away. The spacepan claims another victim. And the local is full. And I have a 10-minute timer. What can possibly go wrong?
Warp drive active.
I'm fairly sure there is going to be a lot of salt thrown at this ship, and I believe I will fly the spacepan for special occasions. That means when there is a good target I will take out the spacepan, but for the vast majority of targets I will just use the Megatron or the Machariel. In most cases I think I would use the Megatron unless the target is a little further away and I need the barraging plant, but the Megatron is definitely the cheapest one that has the highest DPS. Well, the second highest DPS. My Macario has the highest DPS. But the spacepan has the highest alpha, that's for sure. 278 million, not bad. Overall a solid kill.
Warp
Well, we
drive
have another
active.
Gila. And I am in warp. I had a lot of fun recording this, by the way. The game felt really fresh for me when I jumped in this thing. Okay, there is the Gila. That's a lot of drones on the grid. But I was a little bit late, and this is where I need to use
We're
a
under attack.
targeting rig, because I think the spacepan has
Warp drive active.
a lower scan resolution than the Macario, and definitely a lower scan resolution than the Megatron. So one or two, perhaps two targeting computers, targeting rigs are going to help a lot at locking smaller targets. But this can give you a good example on how this ship can work. Now,
Warp drive
the
active.
Mordu ships are very good for low sec hunting. Basically, you can say that they are designed to do that. In null sec you need a bit more tank and some other things, and the Mordu ships can do it, but they're just very suited for low sec hunting, and this is basically their territory. Okay, well, I was a little bit late to the party here. The Harby is already getting destroyed, and I have timer. So let me go back to the previous asteroid belt that I was located at.
Warp drive active.
11 in local, which is a lovely number. I think at one point there was like 25 in local or something, and I can tell you that was the most anxiety that I have experienced in a very long time. And honestly, it's very, I would say it's quite fun. Uncomfortable but fun. Makes the game a lot more interesting. Now I can dock with timer, but that maneuver is, let's say, not recommended, especially not with a 25 billion ISK ship that has no tank and that does not forgive me. Okay, let's go to the next target. We have an oracle that is about 80 kilometers from the gate. Now this ship can lock battlecruisers fairly easy, so it should not be a big problem. Let me warp at 75 just to have a little bit room for error, because you never know what can happen. 75, 76, and entering warp. There's a cyclone on the gate over here. The cyclone will see a space span enter warp right in front of their nose. Always makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable if other ships see me warping to a mission or site, because you never know when it can be a trap. Okay, there is the Oracle. 33 kilometers. Well, it was aligned, unfortunately. The Oracle was aligned and they did move from the original position.
We're under attack.
Well, it happens. Let's quickly warp away and let's go to the next target. Sometimes things like this just happen, and it's no big deal, not a big problem. Okay. Preparing to warp. We already have another target. Again, low sec was absolutely insane with traffic because of the new missions. And I did say this before, but it honestly does feel like the Halloween event, and the Halloween event is one of my favorites, and this is going to be place number 2 in my favorite event list, because man, I had so much fun. I also there are some things that I did not like about it, but you know, I think we all had an amazing fun in this event. Especially I had most fun with the space span, because oh, what happened? Looks like we lost one. I think we did mess up the warping timings. Yes, we did, unfortunately. Oh well, it happens. The idea was that I warp in first to take aggro, but mistakes do happen, not a big problem. The apocalypse has been destroyed, so not a big issue. We are ISK positive, so that's what matters in the end. We lost one battle loggy, but killed one battleship, which is a fair trade. You know, it's funny because usually the targets do aggro me first, and that happens in most cases actually. But in the case of the space span, I noticed that they have couple seconds of just watching. I think that's because a lot of players never seen one of these ships in action, and definitely, I think that's because a lot of players never seen one of these ships in action, and definitely, I think that's because a lot of players never seen one of these ships in action, and definitely, I think that's because a lot of players never seen one of these ships in action, and definitely, I think that's because a lot of players never seen one of these ships in action, and definitely, 90% of players haven't had the chance to fight with one. So I believe there is that moment of surprise, or perhaps it's fear. I have no idea. I mean, I would definitely be scared if there is a random unknown ship that I've never seen before landing on my battleship. I would be looking at that thing, and I would try to figure out what the hell it is, but that can cost me the ship. So the best option to do is warp out. If something lands on you that you're not sure what it is, just warp off, because it's probably something very dangerous. Now, we have a Ferox here. The Ferox has been tackled.
We're under attack.
I did use the long range missiles, now swap to the classic default missiles. And the Ferox has been destroyed. Let's warp out. The space pan works incredibly well with a tackle ship. I mean, any battleship works really well with a tackle ship, but using the space pen completely alone, completely solo, is... I think it's fun. I plan to do it. I already
Warp
did it
drive
with
active.
the Machariel on the first kill of this video. So I definitely plan to fly this a lot more, and this was definitely a very successful first run with the space pen. Again, it does follow the tradition of having one of the more expensive kills as the first kill, and I'm not really sure how that happens. It happens completely random. It happened to my Macariel. The Macariel basically started the whole thing. It happened to the Megatron Striker with the B-type Armageddon, and it also happens with the space pan with that Macariel kill. Well, this was the first ever run that I did with the space pan. I would say it was highly successful. I had a lot of fun, and at the same time, I have to say, it's definitely a very weird feeling to fly this thing. One of the easiest to lose ships, one of the least tankiest ships in the game, and definitely a very high profile target. If you get scanned, and if you get scanned, you can expect a lot of ships to jump on you, and all that makes the space pen a very, very difficult and a very risky to fly ship. So, with that being said, I really hope that you guys have enjoyed the first ever run that I did with the space pen. As always, feel free to tell me in the comments down below what you think about this ship, and with that being said, I love you all, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.